Ukraine's counter-offensive has been ongoing for over 3 months now as it seeks the elusive breakthrough of the Russian defense lines. Many observers now consider that the attacks have stalled, despite some small gains here and there, and that there is little chance of any dramatic moves before next year. One U.S. intelligence chief, however, has predicted that there will be positive developments in the counter-offensive that would drive a wedge between Russia's occupying forces. According to U.S. intelligence analyst Trent Maul, Ukrainian forces could break through the rest of Russia's defensive lines by the end of the year. He opines that the Ukraine counter-offensive is going well and that Zelensky's military has a realistic possibility of breaking through the second and third, and final, trench systems. According to his comments given to The Economist, this could drive a wedge between Russia's occupying forces. The UKRAF hoped to break through the Russian defensive lines in the south before pushing on to the important communications hub of Melitopol closer to the Azov coast, thereby splitting Russian forces in the south and severing the land route to Crimea. He reckoned that there was a realistic possibility of breaching the rest of the lines, a turn of phrase that suggests a 40–50% likelihood in the intelligence world. This, I fear, may be a tad optimistic. Ukraine may have only 30 days or so left for fighting before the weather hinders its counter-offensive, a top-ranking U.S. military officer has said. Speaking to the BBC, General Mark Milley, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff and the U.S. Army's most senior soldier, said prevailing conditions would make it much harder for Ukraine to maneuver. He also admitted the offensive had gone more slowly than expected. General Milley also said it was too early to say whether the Ukrainian counteroffensive had failed, but said Ukraine was progressing at a very steady pace. Kyiv's counteroffensive was launched in the summer and aims to liberate Russian-occupied territory in Ukraine, has so far seen only small gains. So, given that the counteroffensive has now been underway since June this year, there's no guarantee that another month's effort will lead to a breach of the Russian lines. And then the autumn rains will severely restrict off-road movement until the ground freezes over in winter. On the positive side of things, it now appears that the US, at long last, is preparing to supply its ATACMS ground-to-ground missile for use in Ukraine. According to ABC News, the Biden administration is likely to send its long-range Army tactical missile systems to help in its fight to repel the Russian invasion of its territory, quoting U.S. officials. "They are coming," said one official who had access to security assistance plans. Whilst ATACMS is unlikely to be the game-changer that alters the course of the war, it will be a welcome addition to Ukraine's arsenal. It is a short-range ballistic missile that can be fired from both M142 HIMARS and M270 MLRS launchers, systems which Ukraine has already. It boasts a 230 kg high explosive warhead which produces blast, heat, and fragmentation effects capable of destroying heavy concrete structures, vehicles and personnel within a lethal blast radius of over 600 meters. Crucially, ATACMS has a range of 300 km versus the normal GMLRS rockets which reach out to 70 km, enabling Russian logistic hubs and supply lines to be targeted effectively. Essentially, it will bring the whole of Crimea within its range, including the Kerch Bridge and numerous Russian military bases, and could help to make the Russian occupation there untenable. With luck and in the right circumstances, these missiles could facilitate a Russian collapse. All of which is good news for Ukraine, but, like the long-promised F-16 fighter jets, ATACMS is not going to get to Ukraine overnight once the US decision is confirmed. It will take several months to get into theater and for the requisite training and logistics to be in place. And so the slog will continue in the meantime. Ukraine takes small bites out of the Russian defense lines. The Russians build new defense lines in depth behind those taken by the UKRAF. It has become a battle of stamina and who can sustain the struggle the longest, and not just between the main protagonists. Will the West grow weary of supporting a seemingly never-ending conflict? Time will tell, but there is a real danger we'll still be here this time next year.